I'm excited about the kids of all sizes who are here.
Why did they change the room?
I don't know. I think it was in the app. It has always said Central Ballroom.
No, it was always the other one, the one
Oh,
earlier.
235?
Yeah, 235.
Maybe they couldn't put up a film screen in there. But
That's
look,
what they said,
young
because
people coming.
they changed the show from before also.
They like to change rooms. It's a thing.
Oh, this is fun.
This is fun. I'm delighted.
Now, the only thing is that my computer might die.
Do you not have a power cord?
I just got a power cord, but I noticed that it's every once in a while slowing down the films.
Oh, okay.
As if
So we'll just have to work with it.
all right.
We'll make it fun. Okay. Hello, welcome everybody. I am so delighted to see you all here for the film Talkback, stop motion animation, painted frames, and animated shorts. Today is Thursday, April 13th. It is 7:30 p.m. and we are in the East Ballroom at UMC. Center Ballroom, what? Okay, thank you. So I am beyond delighted to introduce Pooh Kay and to have her screen some of her short films tonight. My name is Alexis Halkovic. I met Pooh Kay probably 10 years ago at a dance retreat, and it was with Daniel Lepkoff and Nancy Stark-Smith, but the highlight was really being taken back into the history of postmodern dance in New York City and entering the fantastical world that Pooh Kay creates through her delightful films. I was just transfixed, and so I'm absolutely thrilled that we get to show them here, and we will have a discussion with Pooh Kay after we watch some of her films, and we will not use the app because we're a nice intimate group, and I think we can use hands in the old-fashioned way of direct dialogue. So I'm going to hand it over to Pooh. Please give a warm welcome.
Oh, you are very tall. Anyway, I'm going to have a great time sharing these with you. I don't get to see them all that often. They represent about 35 years of work. I would make these films to accompany performances. So they're each one in my heart related to a dance and to the specific people that are in the film, who are usually the dancers that were in the dance. So I'm going to start by saying that I began life as a visual artist and found my way to dance, and so these films represent a way for me to make a compromise between those two impulses. And the way I began making them was because I needed to find a way to record all these activities that I was doing in the spaces that I would move into. I moved into a loft, and it was a cold water loft, and it didn't even have electricity when I moved in. And I would have to sleep with newspapers stuffed inside my clothing. And I had no furniture, just a chair and a table. And I literally rattled around in that place. I slept on the floor, and I would roll from side to side in the room, and I'd be practicing movement, and I was bouncing off the walls and jumping on the pillars and tripping over my one chair and table. And at some point, a friend of mine said, "Oh, you really need to start recording this." And she took me out and bought a camera. Supervised my buying this little tiny Super 8 camera, and I brought it home and unwrapped it, and it had a bunch of buttons on it, and I didn't know what the buttons meant. So I kind of turned one, and I set the thing up on a tripod, and I turned it on, put my film in, turned it on, and went around to the front to do something. And when I got the film back, it turned out that I had been recording at a very slow camera rate, so I had this high-speed effect. And that was my aha moment. I thought, wow, I can just like get out there and do something for half an hour, and it will only cost me a 3-minute roll of film and its development. So that's why these films are fast. That introduced me to compacting an idea, and made me dedicated to short films and kind of whatever consolidated ways of recording things. Okay, so I'm going to show these films. These 3 films were made in the 1970s, and they're all rattling around somewhere. In one of them, I'm teaching my dog how to swim. The dog paddle, which I know you're going to figure out once you see it. Okay. How do I make it louder? It's going down, down, down.
The other button.
No, it's something to do with this pad. And I didn't get to practice.
Let's through the pad. It's going down. There we go.
Oh, okay. Oops. Okay, and here I am climbing the column without much effect. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Okay, let me start this again. Okay, there you go. That's my one chair, my one table. Uh-oh. It's doing it. Huh? I know what's happening. It's just loading really slowly. It's repeating. Huh. Yeah. I keep going back to the camera because I want to see if the films run out. Oops. My dog is actually under the table. And she is learning how to do the dog paddle. I had taken her to the country, and she was very good at finding cow patties. It would get completely smeared in it. And then I would try to get her to swim, and she'd just sink. Whoop, that's it. Let's see. Okay, pause. Okay, then became really ambitious and wanted to make big films. So I would bring in friends who could use 16 millimeter cameras. And on this particular project, which was filmed in the old Cunard Pier at the end of Canal Street, there's a garage there now. But at any rate, it was extraordinary because the Lower East Side artists had gone in there the year before and painted every square inch of this pier. So you'll get to see that. And the camera person that I was working with is now a very famous director. His name is Cedric Clapiche, and he's French. He did movies called Auberge Espagnole, Russian Dolls, China Puzzle. Anyway. So I have a famous person associated with this one. These two people hated one another. Really. It's the artifice. Okay, so this one introduced the idea of paint on objects. This next one takes it to 100th degree beyond that. I'm very interested in exploring new combinations of materials to interstice with my human stop motion.
Not, yeah. Ouch, I bit my tongue.
Okay. I should say that the technique of doing this, it's all single frames. There is never any real movement. So it's just made of lots of little photographs stuck together, and in each photograph, a small change has been made. And then when you see it played back, it looks like a continuous movement. And I can't help it, but I just always find this so exciting. When I'm making these things, it's very slow. It can take sometimes hours to set up one frame. And you're looking at this image, and you feel so lucky because you're looking at this image till you've memorized it, you know, like you're eating it. So actually, I like how tedious these projects are. I explored paint for about a decade, to the detriment of my dance company, who ended up being totally occupied on my film projects, and then I'd run out of money, and I couldn't hire them to make dances. So then I sort of stopped making dances, and I was just making very slow-to-make films. The next one on the list is... Oh, here, I can go forward this way. This is what I'm doing now because I don't have big budgets, and I'm making them with a handheld camera. Okay, I'm going to do one more, which was a giant painted project. Oh, by the way, my ducks have not forgiven me for never actually turning that into a pond. They had their hopes up for a whole summer, and it just never quite got there. I'm going to show a kind of elaborate project that describes about how it's based on a short story by Oscar Wilde called The Birthday of the Infanta, which is really a story about Oscar Wilde's relationship with a young lord who ended up turning Oscar Wilde into the authorities and causing the British government to imprison Wilde until his death. And this story was one that he wrote about that situation, but he used the famous painting of Don Diego Velázquez, Las Meninas, which represents the royal court in, I think, 1560. And the main figure is the little princess, Isabella, and she's the main character of this movie. So it's a mashup between the painting, Velázquez painting, and Oscar Wilde's really sad, tragic story, and things that really happened on the set. So it's totally a mashup, and I'm rather fond of it because it has some extraordinary technical painting things in it. Okay, now. Okay.
Hola, my name is Princesa Margarita. It's my birthday today. I'm here with my little dog. Hola, perrito. And my ladies of the court waiting for the famous painter, Don Diego Velázquez. Are you really a famous painter? I hope this amuses me. Your painting is loco. Oh, senor, what are you going to do next? No. I'm not having fun. Wow, fantastico. Oh.
Happy birthday, Princess!
I am not enjoying this birthday one bit.
Sanya, hurry up some more.
Okay, yes, I have a bit of a gift for you.
I want a better present.
Why is he behaving this way? This is terrible, terrible, terrible.
Your show's over. Oh, stop. Please. What?
Oh, momento. Oh, ¿dónde está? ¿Dónde viene? Oh, momento. Oh, mi novio, ¿dónde va? ¿Dónde viene? Oh, ven. Oh, no. Oh, mi amor. Oh, baby, where are you going? Come back. Oh, ¿dónde está? Ven acá. Ven acá. Oh, mi amor, está roto. Mi corazón, oh, bebé. Oh, quiero de verdad. Oh, ¿dónde está? Ven acá. Baby. Oh, you? Where are you? Oh, there you are. Please do not leave me. He's gone. He's gone forever. Look, I have painted a picture of my beloved boy. Please take my rose.
Sorry about all the technical weirdnesses. I don't know if it's the file itself. So I'm going to turn this off and put it into sleep. And I feel like we should talk through these movies because actually this one, the all the people on the crew and performing are my dancers. And one of them, the one playing the wild boy, quit halfway through the film. And I ended up having to change the whole story to work around it. But, well, I think everybody's getting tired. You want to ask any questions? Yeah.
How long did that one and the earlier one where you first showed the
The
painting?
painting?
How long did those films take?
This one took about 9 months to film, but it was longer. I really flew quite a lot. And then it took about a year to figure out the sound because I didn't want any real speaking, but everybody who saw it said, well, we don't understand the story. We really need some words. And the sound took longer than the film, frankly, but it took about 9 months, 10 hours a day. And I had my dancers, we ripped through all our dance company money. We ripped through the grants for the film. And I did actually make a really wonderful show to go with this film for its premiere. I actually really loved the dancing in that show. So yeah, it takes a long time. And some of those, the shot with the tears, that whole thing, that took a week. And it failed. We did it 3 times, and it failed twice in the camera. So if you were looking carefully, you would notice that the paint was a bad thing on the dress and on the wig because we kept painting blue tears, and we had to paint pink over it again, and then paint blue tears, and pink over it again. And the tears had to, every frame, they have to move a little bit. So there's more paint, there's more paint. A stupid pencil, and it would go up halfway up the pencil. And then the other one, the wake-up call took less time because there were not so many moving parts. So that took about 4 months to shoot. Yeah. That took. Well, those are much faster because they don't have a lot of moving parts. It was just literally the newspaper, the moving people. So everybody would go like this, and then the camera would go click, and then they would move a little bit, and the camera would go click, and that's all it took. So it was done over the course of a winter in 1982. And that movie was stories. Oh my gosh. They were tearing that building down around us. And there were squatters living in the building. There was a Japanese guy living in the bathroom. And he was using the toilet. He'd take the toilets off the stacks and he was using them as fireplaces, and the smoke would suck down there. And the one time we were filming one of those shots, and the guard came in on us with a drawn gun and a German Shepherd. That's one of the best parts about making these wonderful little projects, is that you just have this whole adventure. That whole piece. Really, I grew up, my father was a movie director, and he pulled out this movies from his childhood, which was one reel of Charlie Chaplin running a flea circus in a flop house, and a Harold Lloyd film where he's hanging on a clock, and young wrestlers. Everybody could see these things. So I think it's just very deep inside me. I was always moved by on a dance, it's extraordinary. It's give and take constantly in the making of the piece, where you're making the movement to fit the sound, and then the sound is being made to fit the movement, and you're coming out with a product that is, it's not completely in your control. There's the magic, the synergy of another mind contributing. So that's how the sound got more and more elaborate. Yeah.
How much of this, of the work that you do is scripted or storyboarded, and how much is sort of spontaneous?
Half and half. In the morning, I definitely make storyboards. But maybe another idea comes up as I'm working on it, and I want to see that idea. So I try, but the more elaborate one, like the last one we saw, was pretty strictly storyboarded, because it just had too many moving parts and too many people on stage. And it was exhausting doing that. It's more fun when it's playful. It's more fun when you see a potential. Oh, where you see if ooh, three of me. When you see a potential and you get to play with it, and also the people in the film would have ideas. They'd say, "Hey, why don't we?" In this last one, my camera woman said, "The pool of tears." She said, "Why don't we cut out little white foam core wavelets instead of painting the wavelets?" Which was brilliant and made it much easier. Yeah, so I don't know. I really love the interface of life and art, and I'd feel terrible to have to control it so much that life was not intruding on the art. No. Yeah.
Can I ask you to elaborate, you've said a little bit about it, but elaborate on the relationship between process and product?
It's a little bit like making a dance. When you're making a dance, you're taking these discrete movements and you're creating patterns or connections between them. And doing this stuff, again, you're doing these really singular, discrete actions. And when they are connected, they create a larger whole. I like the singularity, the thingness of the frame, the thingness of a movement. And I also enjoy the fact that what happens in these movies cannot happen in real life. They're absolutely only possible inside this sort of, shoebox diorama with its one point of view. Whereas a dance, you look around, every person looks at it personally and translates it in a personal way. This thing cannot happen except in this fashion. It's real, and yet it's not real. And that also I find very attractive. Yeah.
So a question on how for you the transition of maybe taking the movement form
Yeah.
that you do with the body and all that, and your artistic still part of the painting.
Yeah.
And how those two, when they met, what sort of happened for you? Something that was still life is all of a sudden action.
I love seeing them when they're finished, but honestly, I know what they're going to look like before I see them. I mean, I like the colors. I like the sort of being dropped into a fish tank with a lot of gorgeous fish. But I do actually know what the result is going to be. I'm not really surprised by it.
I guess I more meant going back that since you did the painting, it looks like.
I did the painting on the Painted Princess, and I did some of the painting on the Wake Up Call, but really a person, my neighbor, who was an extraordinarily real painter, who could really paint beautifully, worked on that, and you can see it. You can see his ability to use paint. And we sort of devised the technique between us. Like I was showing him things I was exploring with adding paint, something that would move, get longer, and break apart. And he took his paintbrush and he made a little beetle, and then he made it walk across the wall. And so I made the film in order to utilize his painting skills. Yeah.
How many of the works had a live performance element, and was it an extension of the world you were creating in the film, or did it sometimes juxtapose? I mean, the movement vocabulary that you get from this technique is so very specific.
Yeah.
It has, again, it has a life that you can't recreate
Right.
in real time. And so how did you work with or work against that when you were combining?
There would be elements, like, for example, the Pier film. The dance that went with that involved real typewriters on wheels and real office chairs, and we were just, whamming around on those things. So the film related, the objects related to it. In this last one, The Painted Princess, I actually brought the pillars on stage, and I also had a few like singular ambulatory pillars with people in them that kind of wandered around. And the performers on occasion were wearing the costumes and dancing. I have some really wild stuff from that because they were being very athletic in that pink princess. The princess, who was my lead dancer, dances in her pink costume, and she's doing this squat dance, like leaping from side to side, really tilting up in real life, almost completely on edge. So that's, I mean, it's not a narrative conjunction. It's just, you take some of the stuff from one place and put it in the other.
Would they extend temporally before or after the film, so that you could frame it, or was it concurrent?
No, I never did it concurrent. It was separately. I have prejudice against that. I feel when you show media with performance, one or the other has to pay. That either the media dominates the performance and the performance has been shaped to support the media. And I really love live. I like living people. I really want to see energy and uncurtailed stuff. So I keep them separate. And the media, often in dance, if you were just to see the media without the dance, it's full of holes, it's not very whole, so that the dance could fit into it. Yeah. Oh, and and I have no idea why I make these things, but I enjoy looking at them. So thanks for, yeah.
Well, I know you won some awards for your
Yeah.
films, and so after you have completed them, do you submit them to film?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. They are separated from the performance part, and I do send them out to festivals, and they go on. They're generally once a month somewhere. Someone's looking at them.
Do you have any more questions?
Any future projects in mind?
Actually, what I'm working on now are animated sketchbooks. Yeah. So like I'm making drawings of the ducks, and they'll flap their wings and turn their heads. A tree and the leaves will sort of blow and yeah.
Thank you very much. I've seen these films many times, but I love them more each time, and I find something else to be puzzled by, or I don't know, take me into different places. I do want to mention that Pooh will be performing along with many other presenters who are at the conference tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the Black Box. It's going to be, well, there will be aerial, there will be acrobatics, there will be music, and there will be dance. So I hope to see many of you there.
Yes, that would be absolutely extraordinary. Just a collision of heavens, I'm sure. I
So would everyone want to give a big round of applause for PK? And thanks for being here and have a wonderful night.
Oh, thank you. You know, you should.